Well, it's all about spiritual battles of the South as well. It's like good versus evil, but not in a heavy way. It's sort of like the inner morality of good and bad and doing the right thing. So it's trying to teach the reader to make the right choice and what the right choice, and have valor and combating, but using nature to do it. So like the beauty is in nature, the beauty is in yourself, connect to yourself, and always try and do good and do the heroic thing, and don't get sort of swayed by distractions really. But I wanted to make it mythological because I so love myth and sorcery. It's so magical. I'm absolutely obsessed with myth and sorcery.
Hello there, this is Kevin Pennell, and welcome to episode 137 of Toward a Better Life.
I walk the edge of morning light, with stars still clinging to the sky. The world is hushed, the breath is deep, as if some secret dares to speak. Each hour holds a spark unseen. Each silence hums with what might be. I live as if I stand on the eve of something grand, a great discovery just out of view, and I prepare to let it intimately, let it burn and bury me with arms wide open to the flame, as if it always knew my name. Set the altar, clear the floor, a sacred space for something more. Not chasing fate, just holding still for what may come and what it will be. It's not the finding, it's the flame, being ready all the same, to welcome wonder in the dark and let it etch into my heart. I live as if I stand on the eve of something, a great discovery, near and true, and I prepare to walk it through completely, intimately, let it sing and carry me with every breath, a soft amen to what begins again and again.
That was Anton Hebblethwaite, and his song Eve of a Great Discovery, which is used with his permission and is available through SoundCloud. You know, I believe this song speaks to us who seek and, once found, experience true joy and harmony from our given spiritual path. Anthony, you have expressed our souls with your work. Thank you so much. There's a link in the show notes for Anthony Hebblethwaite and his music. And thank you to you, the listener, for tuning in again. Toward a Better Life features like-minded people sharing their stories, ideas, activities on what we can all do to generate a better life individually and collectively. In today's world, there truly is a need to seek balance, harmony, compassion, kindness on so many different levels, personally, culturally, spiritually, to name some of them, but it all begins with each one of us as individuals to make changes that will last within our society, within our world yet to come. And that's what I like to share on this podcast from around the world, seeking others of the same spirit, heart, and mind. This is a platform, a school. It's like a venue to begin and continue your journey toward wholeness and harmony, not only for each one of us as individuals, but for the generations yet to come. And that is important. Leave a legacy that lasts. I also offer opportunities to share your music, your prose, your poetry, storytelling on the show. Please do subscribe to the program if you haven't done so already through your favorite podcast platform, and keep following for weekly magical insights into earth-based spirituality, self-development, and self-care, among some other things. And also remember to support the program by leaving your review on Apple and Spotify podcast. You know, it only takes a minute, and it really does help. And do visit my website, towardabetterlife.com, where you can contact me to learn more about a free discovery call to help you on your own journey, along with prior episodes, learning opportunities, and services that I offer outside the podcast, plus a few goodies to assist you on your own journey. Just contact me through the website or send your inquiries to me, kevin@towardabetterlife.com. So in this episode, I'm welcoming Victoria Williams, author of The Warlock and the Ovate. The cover says it all. It's a timeless fantasy adventure crafted for older children and adults, set in a mythological world of ancient castles, majestic dragons, wise druids, and battle-hardened Vikings, and even a magical tree where morality and corruption collide. Powerful themes of redemption, ancient wisdom, and the awakening of true purpose are also found among the pages of Victoria's book, The Warlock and the Ovate, a world where hope prevails. Let's get on with it, shall we? And here we go with our chat for this episode. I'd like to welcome Victoria Williams to Toward a Better Life today. And Victoria, tell us where you are today.
I'm in England. I'm in the Black Country. If you know what the Black Country is, it's like on the border of Wales, because I'm Welsh heritage, both sides. It's close to Worcestershire. Okay. It's very countryside. I don't like towns, so I live in the country. Yeah. And I'm in a little place that's famous for its mistletoe, which ties into druidry. Yeah. So each year we have a mistletoe festival where we crown a mistletoe queen.
Oh, cool. That you've got my attention.
Yeah, so we sell our mistletoe at the Christmas Yule Fair, and then every year we appoint a mistletoe king and queen, and we crown the queen on the park and have a big pagan festival.
Oh, how delightful!
Yeah, you look it up. It's Tenbury Wells. So if you look at Tenbury Wells Mistletoe Festival.
Okay, I'm actually writing that down just because. My wife's parents actually lived over in Somerset for a bit.
Yeah, that's down the other way. That's like Glastonbury, which is all like the Holy Grail, and the Grail is buried underneath Avalon. And I know a lot about Glastonbury. It's nice.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that whole area today, as far as climate and that sort of thing. It's such a delightful area, and those that are listening to the podcast know that I've got my roots are actually Welsh, Scot, and Irish. So
okay, that's a mix. Yeah,
and a wee bit of German.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Mine's all Welsh, but obviously living in England most of my life, but Welsh heritage. So
yeah, yeah. So Tell us a little bit about Victoria because we're kind of looking at this from a standpoint of Obod, which is of course the order of bards, Avates, and druids, and we're looking at druidry, and we're going to be looking at a book here that you have published here in a little bit. But first, tell us a little bit, Victoria, what began your path, if you don't mind, about toward druidry, paganism?
It's in my bloodline. My great grandfather was named Septimus, and he's the seventh son of a seventh son. And he was born on my birthday. He died on his birthday, which is my birthday. So ever since a small child, I've had like a gift of really strong intuition, we'll call it, because that's what fits in with today's society, because you're not allowed to have any strange views. So ever since I've been young, I've had a leaning towards the spiritual stuff more so than the what you call the dogma of normal society.
Hmm.
I've liked animals and nature and healing and plants and paganism. Um, so I decided, because I love nature and I was obsessed with trees since a small age. I used
Mm.
to get my nan to buy me books on trees and flowers and herbs, which I've still got. They're all like 50 years old with little notes in the front of my nan, who's no longer with us, which is really nice to look at. So I was obsessed with studying like herbal medicine, different types of trees. And then I got older and I thought, well, actually, this is like druidry. But I never wanted to go to the druid level because I'm more of a healer.
Mm.
So up to the ovate level is good for me.
Mm.
And because I work in mental health and social work, it's a type of healing anyway when you talk to people and you listen to their issues, and it's talking therapy,
Yeah.
which is healing anyway. And I'm not a very medication focused mental health person. I don't agree with giving people toxic medications unless they really need to have them. I'm more social dynamics and herbal medicine and trying to not give toxic medications, sort of like healing talking, plants, going out in nature, grounding, sort of like all the natural things, and going out in the sun, walking on the grass, taking people out for walks, getting them to connect and just getting them to talk. So I think that Ovate, even though it's plants and trees and druidry, you can tie it into professional qualifications because you can use that healing nature side of it and the talking.
So when you meet with folks, do you, as opposed to sitting at a desk and sitting at someplace and talking across a desk or talking on the proverbial couch or whatever, do you like to take people right out in nature and connect with
Yeah,
nature?
if they're allowed, because obviously not everybody is allowed, but if they're
Sure.
allowed out, then I'll take them out to the park for a walk and sit in the park underneath the trees and watch the animals and feed the squirrels and just have a chat and just sit there and chill, because it's so relaxing and calming rather than sat in a hospital environment with all the opposing lights and the authoritarian hierarchy of I'm I'm this and you're that, because it's more putting people on the same level so they feel they can talk to you and
Hmm.
making them peace. And I find nature's quite healing for people because it's like an escape where they can reconnect, because it's very basic, and just even something like flowers and trees and little animals running around is really nice.
I was just, I've been reading Michael Wilson's book. He was on the program a while back about his book on myth and so forth, and he talked about how we connect with the natural world, and it's all around us. But one of the things he had mentioned and things to do, that's what he does at the ending of each one of the chapters that he has, and he's done it in accordance with the Wheel of the Year. And it's quite interesting because on week 42 or 41, 42, I believe it is that I'm on, which is it begins in Samhain, and of course we just went past Lunasa,
Yeah,
but and are quickly approaching an equinox for
yeah,
us here in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, they're doing another equinox, but nonetheless, he said, I challenge you to go outside and just go for a walk. And we do that every day. But the thing that I added on, and usually when I'm out and we're out and about, I do look at the trees. I do feel the trees, and I listen to the birds as they talk and think about the times they're actually communicating with us or announcing to
yeah.
their others.
I think the most common thing I do is when I go out running and I go out for a walk. I go about 2 times a day. But when I just sit after I've been for a run, I'll just sit in the wooded area and close my eyes and feel the breeze on my face, which is not much at the minute because it's too sunny. But then you can hear it sort of rustling through the leaves, and it's so calming to the spirit. Just no noise, and just the noise of that is really, really calming.
And I've often mentioned about the leaves. When I think about the leaves, I think of them in their own way. They're singing a song to us.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
almost
the
like a
dryad.
lullaby. Yeah,
Yeah,
pardon?
it's like the dryad. I put the dryad in my book, so yeah, it's very much dryadic. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's the dryad? Tell us about that.
A dryad is it's obviously the spirit of the tree, isn't it? So I think the term actually came from, they penned it in Lord of the Rings or something like that. But it's a druidic term. But the dryad is actually the spirit of the tree, which it's a bit like you and me, but it's in a tree form. So I put one into the book because I felt it was really important. So the dryad sort of communicates with the main character as she goes through a journey from a small child through to a bard and up to a ovate level, and sort of guides her through the book, teaching her things. But you'll find when you get to read, so it's quite interesting. A little bit of my own journey there that I switched into a bit of the narrative. And I thought, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, for sure. So you have been a member of OBOD for 20 some years, and you said that you kind of took a break from it, which it's not unusual in the time that I've been involved with OBOD. I'm very much a youth in that sense, but I've seen that a number of folks will do it for a while and then take a break, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I
uh,
would encourage people to understand that there's nothing, you haven't failed anything, you've just taken a break.
I think it's a life course. Like with females, you've got in the pagan aspect, you've got Maiden, Mother Crone, and you've got Ceridwen and the Cauldron, which is another pagan Welsh aspect. It's the Welsh goddess. But as you go through your life stages, you've got the maiden, which would tie into the bardic. Then you go off and you have your family and your marriage, and you get stuck into that and go into work, and you get tied to dogma. So you don't really get to be much spiritual. And then when you've got time to rest again, you're like, oh, I can go back to my spirituality. So then you sort of go through phases
Hmm.
when you go through each. And now, obviously, me being 50 now, I'm more at the crone stage. So I can more relax, go back to my spirituality and go on to the higher levels. But I think going to the higher levels of druid training when you're young isn't really a very good thing because you don't have much life and spiritual experience. I think it's like gateways. Um, when you get to a certain gateway or a certain threshold, then move on to the next level,
Hmm.
like initiation type thing.
Yeah, yeah. And so Obad, when we talk about it, we talk about the bard, and I've mentioned this a couple of times. And just give us your sight because others have heard my 2 cents worth about what a bard is. And of course, we have the bard, the ovate, and the druid levels in Obad. So, what is a bard?
Me, to a bar because I'm Welsh. It's more, I can't say the word. It's like the poetry, the storytelling, the passed down fables, the passed down myth and folklore, which is comes from the ancestors, and then it comes out through the person's expression of the spirit. So they'll be expressing about the nature and what they feel in themselves and putting it into music and expression, and passing down folklore the old fashioned way before the internet, before all the technology, in the nice way, sort of sat round fires, giving stories, teaching children, making it enjoyable with your music and folklore. Just if you go to I don't know, a medieval festival now and you hear them play the music, I don't know about you, when I sit there and I smell the smoke fire and I hear the music, it takes me back like 300 years.
Hmm.
Even though I wasn't born 300 years ago, I can go right back there.
I totally get it because I have sat around a campfire or two in my day, and there was a time for several years that I was living life with some of the indigenous people in North America, Native Americans, and used to go to powwows and all kinds of stuff. But I can remember many, many times, just like you just described, and it's ideal, Victoria, just like what you
Yeah.
said.
Makes your hair stand on end because it's like remembering, even though you weren't there at the time. It sort
Mhm.
of awakens something in you, the smell and the feel of the music, and it sort of makes your hair stand on end.
Yeah. And of course, they would be sitting there and they might be just doing maybe a light drumming while they're doing that at the drum in the middle of the circle. or someone will sit there with what we would look at as a bodhran, and they would just give like a heartbeat thump as we're sitting around the campfire, and we're just talking and we're sharing stories and we're sharing insights. But like you said, it transports you into another realm completely and totally.
It's like ancestral. It's sort of like tapping back into the soul and the previous lives. It's sort of like it brings it out in the present.
It
So
does.
uh, yeah, the bardic is more like that for me. It's more shamanic.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I know the shamanic goes into the other levels, but to me, the bardic is just it's the introduction, and it helps us to begin to look at ourselves, and we look at ourselves in the view of stories, and we look at ourselves in the view of music and poetry and song and all kinds of stuff like that. But when we do that, there's a certain, I'm going to say, transcendence that moves us beyond the physical and into the spiritual and into another realm. So
Yeah,
it's a great
yeah,
introduction.
yeah. I really like it, and it sort of like passes down your heritage as well. A lot of the Welsh heritage, and otherwise they just get forgotten in this day and age. So it's important to keep it.
Yeah, yeah. And when we talk about the Welsh and we talk about the stories and the traditions and things of that nature, what is it like in Wales these days, and how is it received when we talk about some of these old ways, and we talk about pagan ways, and we talk about druidry and things like that?
I think it's better in Wales than it is in England, to be honest. A lot of the Welsh language still exists in certain parts of Wales. It doesn't exist in all of it because obviously a lot of it now is English speaking. And with immigration, it tends to bleed everything out and make it more watered down. But it's still very much tied to nature, remote, beautiful waterfalls, beautiful forests, still Welsh speaking, and just it's still it's like a different place to England. You can feel it when you step into it. It's like stepping into nature. It's more it's they still have the I can't say it Estivod that we don't have over here now. Sort of our pagan festivals in England have all much died out apart from where I am, where we have the mistletoe king and queen. But in Wales, they will still have the festivals.
Okay. And you have them pretty much in accord with the 8 festivals a year. Do you usually pattern them around that, or?
Yeah, but it's more sort of run of the mill now because it's all been bled out, hasn't it? So if I do sort of like Samhain is Halloween and Yule is Christmas, and
Hmm.
it's just very capitalized, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, and you have to sort of be careful practicing things because you get a lot of discrimination and a lot of with the way things are these days.
And that kind of leaves us into another area, to me anyway. And I think that's one of the reasons it attracted me to even reach out and have a chat, is because you have a book out, and it's the Warlock and the Ovate. And it sounds like almost there are a couple of other authors out there. A while back, I interviewed Octavia Randolph, and she's had what's called the Caradwin series, which is, I think she's on book 12 right now of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, crikey.
But it's have you read them? Are you familiar with?
I will do now. I shall have to look it up. I will have a look.
Do that. But she has brought in a lot of the spirituality that made us what we are. You know, when I hear about, I'm going to use the term when we hear things about reconstruction and things like that, I get a little antsy around it
Yeah.
when I think about it, you know, all these truths and all these ways and all these festivals and all of these different things that we have, they've always been around, and we don't need to revert back to that. But what we need to do is take the information, the basis of that information, and bring it forward into the 21st century. I think that's doable. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I've tried to do that in my book a bit, sort of like put a lot of the old folklore in. In the introduction, I've put a really old Welsh poem and I've written it in English and in Welsh because to keep the old language, which is the Battle of the Trees, and I think it's from the 1500s.
Hmm.
So that's I've obviously referenced it, but it's that ties in with the bardic storytelling and all of the heritage and trying to keep some of the ceremonial Ovate type things. I've sort of written them in a very approachable form, so it seems a bit Harry Potterish and not too heavy. Because obviously it's aimed at older children and adults. So I don't want it to be sound too ritualistic. I want it to be sort of more approachable and but with the basis of it underneath.
So, why don't you why don't we take a moment and tell us a little bit about your book and tell us about the it is out now, or is it pre-published?
It's the Kindle version's out now, and you can pre-order the paperback version, which I think they're releasing on the 29th of August. But the Kindle book, there's a free chapter now as well that you can read and download.
Okay.
So that was released today.
Okay, so the book everyone is titled The Warlock and the Ovate. And if you look it up on Amazon, it says, may I read this a little bit,
Yeah,
Victoria? So it'll just say that the book is a timeless fantasy adventure crafted for older children and adults set in a mythological world of ancient castles, majestic dragons, wise druids, and battle-hardened Vikings. This tale follows the eternal struggle between light and dark. So, first question I've got is how long did it take you to write this book?
oh, it's taken me probably about 15 years, to be honest. I
Hmm.
started it when I was having my son, because I was very much bound to my bed and I couldn't get up because I was really ill. So I was quite bored, and I'm like, what can I do with my mind, because my mind's not active? So I started writing, and
Okay.
I had hours each day to write. And then, as life is, you leave it and then you go back to it, and you leave it and you go back to it. And at the moment, the last year, I've had some time off work for childcare responsibilities. So I thought, you know what, I need to get and finish that book. So I've revisited it, and it's like reading it back. I'm like, crikey, that sounds. And then I can add this and like new life experiences that I've added spiritually. I've tied in and I've sort of brought it all together. It's like it had to sit there strangely for 15 years until the time when it was ready to be finished. Didn't want to be finished before. It was like, no, at the end of this journey, you can finish me.
Yeah. Have you written any other books, or is this the only book that
I'll
you've
be
written?
writing the next one. I've put the prequel in at the end for the next
Ah,
book that I'm going to write, but I'm having a break until January because I'm all written out for now.
that's good. Well, I know it says here, like you were saying in the beginning or during the course of this, I have a real affinity to trees. When I chatted with Philip on one of the programs, we started chatting a little bit about my own my own path and how I can remember when I was like 10 or 11 years old, my father and I used to go to an Audubon location here in the States, and it kind of got me interested. But I think and I still love birds, but where do birds typically go?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
they're in the trees, and so
yeah,
trees are very, very special. And when I read that it says that at its heart stands sacred, magical tree where morality and corruption collide. Amidst celestial mazes and mysterious underground realms, brave heroes face sorcerers, dark forces, and mystical challenges that test the strength of their spirit.
yeah. I
So,
have a very, very important tree. The tree is called Dur, which is an old word that means oak, basically, in a different, I think I put it in Welsh, but an oak is obviously strength and valor. An oak is also my son's birth tree Celtically, so it had to be an oak. Um, but trees are really, really important. So I've painted it as the main focal point that everything evolves around. And hopefully, if I raise enough money from book sales, I'll be able to buy some oaks and donate them, which is what I want to do.
oh, that's beautiful. And remembering too, our word druid has its roots in the concept of oaks anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I planted some acorns as well the other day. I went out and collected some acorns off the field before I released the book, and I've planted them in little pots, sort of like symbolically. So I hope I'll have enough money to sort of buy some oaks to make a little grove somewhere. So that would be nice.
That would be really, really lovely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about the book without giving it up.
Well, it's all about spiritual battles of the South as well. It's sort of like good versus evil, but not in a heavy way. It's sort of like the inner morality of good and bad and doing the right things. It's trying to teach the reader to make the right choice, and what the right choice, and have valor and combating, but using nature to do it. So like the beauty is in nature, the beauty is in yourself, connect to yourself, and always try and do good and do the heroic thing, and don't get sort of swayed by distractions really. But I wanted to make it mythological because I so love myth and sorcery. It's so magical. I'm absolutely obsessed with myth and sorcery. I think at the age of 10 I read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It took me a long time because it's such a big book, but
Yes, it was big at the time, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
huge.
it was written in Malvern as well. And I lived in Malvern for a while on the hills, where I think it's J.R. Tolkien, isn't it? There's a part of Malvern which is Great Malvern, and then you've got all these little gas lamps going up through the hills.
Hmm.
And when it snows, it looks magical. It just looks like Moria, and he actually drew it from that. So every time I would walk up there with my German Shepherd in the winter when all the little lights were lit, it was just like stepping into another world. It was like Narnia getting out of the wardrobe and into Malvern in the snow.
What I think about when I hear what you're sharing in your book is it's almost the sense of what we know as storytelling.
Yeah,
And so often the old storytellers, before we had print, we would share these stories, and they usually would have some certain moral implications and ways of life, and that's what I'm hearing, and that's
yeah.
what
I've used my
it's.
bardic aspect to do that. And so what I've done as well is I've used a lot of my own life experience and childhood memories. So like the little town that I grew up in when I was a child, I've written that into the book, but I've called it something else. And people throughout my life I've put as characters and changed their name and sort of focused it around that and tried to put moral tales into it. And all the beautiful places that I've lived in the countryside, I've sort of written those in as well, and tried to sort of tie it to the land a bit as well.
Hmm. So when you have the book like this, and then you also meld in or you're involved doing I'm going to say the day job again, but do you find where one might reflect with the other from time to time when you're working with people, and have you gotten any ideas when you're working with someone about, oh, there would be a really good story or really good
Yeah, but
moral.
you can't always discuss it. You have to keep it very confidential.
Oh,
But
oh,
sometimes,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
gives me inspiration sometimes, especially
That's
when people come back and say you helped me and give me a hug, and I'm just like, wow. All I did was speak to you. I didn't expect you to do that. So it's sort of like gives me the moral compass to sort of when you write, and I try to put quite a lot of moral lessons throughout in the different chapters, and hope as well, because hope is vastly lacking in this world at the moment.
mm,
So in a lot of the short little chapters, I've put like stories of hope where something goes right against the odds, and that's pretty much like mental health when sometimes somebody is so unwell, but then this little thing happens that makes them miraculously better, and everything seems a lot better.
mm.
Sort of like a glimmer of hope to hang on to.
And hope is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the knowing. It's like this is just distraction. Everything's going to be okay. And it's sort of the morality in the book is to connect to yourself and connect to nature and just give it up to the elements and not to dwell too much on the present dogma.
Mm. That's an important line right there.
Yeah,
Don't focus so much on present dogma. Be able to, I'm going to use the way of rise above it, and
yeah.
it's okay, and you're part of it, but you're not part of it.
No, just connect to the moment. A lot of people don't live in the present, they live in the past or the future. They're like, this happened, or I need to do this. But it's like you need to be present in the moment, and that's the moment that you're living.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's okay to draw from the past, but don't live in it.
No,
You
because
know.
you don't live there anymore and it no longer exists. The only thing that exists is the present.
Yeah, yeah. So have you got a website or anything set up for this yet?
Not yet, Kevin, because I haven't got that far. I'm going to do one because I only sort of released it properly today. I've been editing and resending stuff to publishers. Can you adjust that? There's a spelling mistake, and oh my God, I can't have that. So I was up editing it the other night, and I'm like, oh my God, there's all these spelling mistakes because some of it's in Welsh. I'd like have like the odd Welsh word. I'm like, it's not spelt like that. So I'm going to get onto that.
when you were writing, this is what happened to me. When you were writing, I found that for me, my magical time, and it's still that way. I call it my magical time. Usually around 5 to 5:30 in the morning is when I would get up and I would start to write. And I just learned a long time ago, I really do try to write from the right side of my brain first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
And writing from the right side as that creative side. And I try to, I'm going to say, reverse discipline myself in the sense of no punctuation, no spelling correction, none of that stuff. Just let
that's
it
what I
flow.
Yeah, I sort of do it late at night because I've got a couple of degrees. When I was doing my one degree when my son was young, I used to study late at night till 11 or 12 because that's when he would sleep. Um, so when I write, I do what you do, and I call it channeling. I just sit there and I
Yeah.
type, and it flows, and then I read back through it, and I'm like, that's great, but I'm like, oh my God, what on earth does that say? Because that's spelled really wrong because I've typed it so fast.
And then I know that there were times where I would send off a chapter to my editor, and they'd send it back and there were hardly any changes in it. And I said, "What?" And I asked them about it and they said, "Well, no, it's fine." There were like maybe one or two changes in the whole chapter, and that's
Yeah,
like, "Wait, what?" And I
yeah.
read through this, and Victoria, when I was reading through it, and I said, "Who wrote this?"
Yeah, it's pretty much like it comes from spirit, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
it flows from spirit. And I'm like, have you got that in you to do that? Because when I look at it now, I'm like, crikey. And it's a bit like when you're doing a degree and you're sat trying to answer an essay about mental health or social work. I'm like, oh, and I just sit there and I go, help. And I let it flow. And then I go back through the essay and I'm like, wow. So yeah, so it's like tapping in and doing it at the right time.
Yeah, it is. And it's wondrous when that happens. It really just builds your spirit like nothing else. It does
Yeah,
nothing in the ego, but it's all in spirit and it just really it flows, doesn't it?
it does. So what did you write then, Kevin? You said you wrote chapters.
Yeah, it was my one book, and at some point I might do another one, but it was called Two Feather Spiritual Seed Planter, and it was a biography about a very dear friend of mine who has since died. He died a few years ago, but he was a Penobscot Native American,
Oh
and
wow.
it was his story, his life, and it was really interesting. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I had a lot of fun researching it, and that was the time where I discovered, and I've had this conversation recently with a couple of folks, that you can wrap it up, you can present it, you can do anything you want to it with some of these different truths, and yet there are some cardinal truths that interweave from culture to culture. You might call it something a little different, but it's the same stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's very deep rooted. It sort of bleeds over, doesn't it?
Hmm.
It stays the same, but it just changes its packaging.
Yeah, that's it. It just changes its packaging, but it's the same stuff, and
Oh, I have to have a look at that.
do that. It's been around for a minute. It's been
Yeah.
around a while, but yeah, it was very, very, very special when I put it together. So yeah, but this is about you.
I like to be nosy. It's my job. I like to find out about people.
That's all right. I do the same thing. Oh, wait,
Yeah,
that's what we're
yeah,
doing, isn't it?
yeah.
So you've been doing this for a bit. You've been doing mental health for how long?
Oh, since I was 16 and I'm 50 now, so that's 34 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
quite a long time. There's certain things that you're drawn to do, isn't there? And
Yeah.
I've tried lots of other jobs, and it makes me feel physically unwell to do other jobs. I need to do a job that I can do myself, that I'm good at doing, that I know I can do like that without thinking. Is like a
Mm.
natural skill just to talk to somebody. And I find it not like going to work, it's just like having a chat. Which
Yeah.
so I've obviously had to get other qualifications, which have taken me quite a long time to do, get a degree in this and a degree in that. And I'm doing another one at the moment, but I'm just having a break and going back next year because I need to have a break from it because I've done so much studying. Um, that yeah, I have a plan of what I'm going to do in the end, but it's always around that.
So it's uh it's a process, and
Yeah,
it's interesting how we will find I'm gonna say our niche, and we kind of stick to it for the rest of our lives. And I've had I've had various jobs, I'll say, in my life, and yet when I really examine it, I found that there's a central line that runs through me, and that is that I like to call myself a healing facilitator and a teacher.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
those things, they're always there, regardless of what little label is hung on Kevin.
It's
And
whatever you're made to be. When you're fashioned by, or whatever you want to call it, the source or the creator, you're fashioned to do a certain thing, and that's what you need to do. It's what you're always drawn. If you try and veer from it, you'll things will go wrong, and you'll be veered back to what you're meant to be doing.
hmm whether
You
you want
can't,
to or not.
yeah, you can't resist it. You just have to go with it.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, you have no choice. Well,
Yeah,
you do have a choice, but good luck with the outcome of that choice.
yeah, it
So,
never goes right.
hmm definitely. What I'm curious about as well is when we talk about paganism, when we talk about other things about nature, like I think of myself as following some pagan thoughts as well as some animistic thoughts and things like that. Are you what we might say is a druid pagan, or do you have other things involved in the way that you look at stuff and the way that you practice? Because druidry, of course, is I think one of the beautiful things of Druidry is there's no dogma, and
Yeah.
you work within your framework. So what's your framework?
Um, I don't really give myself one because I'm not a labely person. I
That's
just
okay.
yeah, very spiritual.
hmm
I love nature, so obviously, and I love to heal and I love to talk. So that is all I do. I don't do anything negative, nasty, of the other way because I don't like that. I just in nature, healing, in the light, spiritual, connecting to source, and always trying to do the right thing, but always incorporating nature and healing.
Okay. And when you have had so many wonderful opportunities in your life that you have done this work for 36 years, and you've had wonderful opportunities in that you were kind of brought up around some of the pagan ways and so forth. Do you have any thoughts for people that might be struggling or might be looking at what can I do with my life? And you've been doing this stuff long enough, Victoria, that you know
Yeah,
about there are different little points in life that you look at stuff, and sometimes they're equated with our age, and we would look at, oh, I'm 30, oh, I'm 40, oh, I'm 50.
it's just
So
a vessel. An age is just a number.
yeah.
It's it's not important. It's just a vessel. It's just a number. It's not. It's what ties you to reality, but reality is how you see it in your own head and how you perceive it and how you make it to be. It's not this. It's what's in here and what's in here. So if they're struggling, I would recommend to go out into nature, to sit and just to close your eyes and to connect and to breathe and to let go of all the stress. Stop worrying about my bills need to be paid. It will be provided for you if you trust. You need to stop worrying about these expectations, what this person thinks, that person thinks, what my job thinks. It's all nonsense. You need to just to connect to source
Mm,
and connect to nature.
hmm
It's very philosophical, isn't it?
it's so simple, isn't it? But we want to make it
Yeah.
complex.
Yeah. It took me a long time to learn that, worrying too much about what other people think. And now, if I don't have funds for that, I'm just like, oh well, it'll provide, it will turn up, and it does. So you have to just have the faith in it, and not be ruled too much like the calling it. I don't know. We'll call it the Matrix with the Matrix things
hmm
because it's just everything you get back from the universe or nature is a reflection of yourself. If you're in a sense of lack, you'll get lack. If you're
hmm
in a sense of abundance, you'll get abundance. And if you tend to worry too much about things, you're just going to stress yourself out because you can't change the outcome anyway, unless you believe you can.
Hmm. And that connection part that kind of goes in with the stuff of mycelium when you think about it.
Yeah,
When you sit and just simply sit, and you mentioned that, and I would totally agree with that. Sit. People have a real hard time with that. I have
yeah.
to be doing something. No, just
No,
sit.
I've learned to sit. And another thing I've learned is to switch off the television. You don't need it. It's
Oh
fear based.
no, I can't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Television has to go. So I very rarely have the TV on. I don't get into all the dogma, the news, or any of that. I'll go out for a walk and I'll sit quietly with my animals. I like cats and dogs, or my child, and I'll just meditate on myself without any distractions, without any fear-based viewing, just nature.
Mm-hmm. And again, that just goes back to the simplicity of it all. And when we're quiet long enough, it's amazing what happens. Is sometimes we can be transported into that same sense of sitting around a campfire for
Yeah.
hours on end.
If you think back to our own ancestors, they never had televisions or distractions, and
Mm-mm.
they sort of would be like the bard, sit among each other and tell each other stories, entertain each other, and there would be none of this distracting or sort of taking your attention or filling your head with this, because whatever you're taking through your consciousness will affect your conscious thought and your conscious being.
And so many times we hear too about people that are going through life, and you ask the average person, "What's your purpose?" and can they answer that question? And
Yeah,
it can be a challenge, can't it, to find out
yeah.
what your purpose is?
It's normally people that I've come across, they tend to worry about their house or their car. And I'm like, well, if you pass away, are you going to take it with you? Isn't it much better to have less and have a happier life
Hmm.
and to have a more fulfilled life, have more money to yourself to do nicer things, less stress? It's just a roof. I've moved house many times. It's just a roof. It's just stuff. You can't take it with you. So less pressure.
Yeah, it is. So we're working on a website maybe,
Yeah,
and
I will be working at it, but I'll probably start it next week.
so if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it?
They could probably use that email that I gave you, Kevin. I'm fine with that. They could send me an email.
Okay, because I will put that in the show notes what your email is, and it's the book is available on Kindle, and the book will be available as far as a paperback is concerned toward the end of August,
Yeah, the
and that's
29th. It's
yeah.
available on Ingram Spark as well to distributors. So it's available on quite a lot of platforms because I think Ingram sent it out to quite a big network. But the main one is Kindle and Amazon. But
Okay,
there are sort of more smaller demographic ones it's been sent out to as well.
and Ingram is your publisher.
Published Nation is my publisher, and Ingram is the distributor.
Okay. Okay. All righty. So what thoughts would you have to share with someone that would kind of sum some things up about, to make a better life for themselves? What would you say?
That's going to be hard. It would be worry less about all the things you've been told and programmed socially that you need to worry about because they're not important. If you leave tomorrow, you're not going to take them with you. Don't worry about other people's opinions because that's their opinion and it's none of your business. Your only business is your own opinion of you. Turn off your television. It's too much of a distraction. Spend time with your children, spend time with your animals and your partner if you're lucky enough to have one, and just go out in nature. Stop worrying. It's
Mm,
all just a show and it's what you make it.
okay. And what does Victoria do to create a better life for herself? I
Not
think we
worry
know the
about
answer. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
not worry about things. If somebody doesn't like me, that's their problem. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I suspect that part of that toward a better life for you is to maybe go out and connect with the natural world. Would that be pretty
Yeah,
close?
yeah, and obviously having my cats, I'm obsessed with cats, so I like my cats like Freya. So
Oh. Okay. Well, this has been really enjoyable. I truly do appreciate you coming on the program today,
thank you for
Victoria.
inviting me and letting me speak.
And we'll reconnect at some point, no doubt.
Yes.
And everyone be sure to look out for the Warlock and the Ovate by Victoria Williams.
And you want to just go through what your book was again, and then I can look that up. And then if anybody else wants to, they can look that up.
Oh, now you put me on the spot. Title of that book was Two Feathers Spiritual Seed Planter, and I wrote it under my spirit name that Two Feathers actually gave me many, many years ago. It was Kevin Laughing-Hawk. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, that's that piece. But again, darn it, it's supposed to be about Victoria.
I'm always about sharing, so it's fine.
Well, again, Victoria, this is great. Thanks ever so
Okay,
much for being with
thanks.
us. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, that's our show for this go-around. Thank you, Victoria, for your wonderful insights of a druid life and previews of your book, The Warlock and the Ovate, available on Amazon. Her email and link for her book are in the show notes. And a special thank you to each one of you, the listeners. I really do appreciate you, and thanks always for tuning in and spreading the word. If you're seeking insights and advice on how to create a better life for yourself, and if you'd like to delve in even deeper into self-care and self-development, experience hypnotherapy, distant shamanic work, Reiki, drop me a line, kevin@towardabetter.life.com, for your free discovery call. You can also visit my updated website, towardabetter.life.com, for past episodes, blog entries, ways to enhance your spiritual journey, and a few products along the way. Please do subscribe and follow Toward a Better Life through your favorite podcast platform. And do leave a review on Apple and Spotify podcast. It helps to spread the word about the program. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to share a story, music, prose, if it's an audio file, just send it to me as an MP3. Or if you want to be my guest, please do so. You can write me at kevin@towardabetter.life.com. Until next week, enjoy your magical journey toward a better life.